Welcome back to Fox 43 Morning News at 9. Approaching year 3 of this global pandemic, it's obvious that stress is at play, not just for our essential workers, but also for our kids. So how can you spot the warning signs or even start a conversation with your kids to make sure they're okay? Dr. Vinitha Moopen from WellSpan Family and Pediatric Medicine at Rothsville is here to talk now about stress and what doctors at WellSpan can do to help. So good morning, Dr. Moopen. We appreciate your time.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So talk to me about some of the signs and symptoms of emotional and behavioral reactions to stress.
So I'm going to start out with infants and toddlers and young children.
Okay.
Usually you'll see an increase in fussiness, irritability, trouble falling asleep, staying asleep. They have feeding issues. They're really anxious to separate from their families. Like they're more clingy sometimes. They're, more tantrum-like behavior. And sometimes we see regressions in behaviors as well. So like potty trained children suddenly now are having accidents. Things like that. Moving on to older kids and adolescents, what you're going to see is like a change in appearance. Like they don't care anymore about what they look like or how they dress, change in moods. So ongoing irritability, fighting with family members, change in behavior, like stepping back from things that they once found happiness in or in other relationships. Sleep issues are a big one. Sometimes they're sleeping too much. They're sleeping all day, or sometimes they're up until, the early morning hours, not able to get sleep. Similarly, their appetite. Some of them have very decreased appetites. Some are eating all the time, and we're seeing an increase in weight issues in some of our teenagers. They have a loss of interest in their schoolwork and grades are dropping. But the biggest thing that I want to get across is sometimes they do have thoughts of death or suicide. And we're seeing a huge increase in children who have these type of thoughts, and we're treating them pretty much on a daily basis.
Oh, it's so disheartening to hear that, but we've known this. We've been seeing the numbers. Obviously, the pandemic has been a very big problem and influence on kids. Is that causing the stress, or are there other avenues that are just as troublesome for them?
So, their social environment. So the emotional well-being of their parents is huge. So if their parents are not well, then kids are not going to be emotionally well. So, if parents are struggling to cope with job loss or illness, that's going to have an impact on their children. There's also been an increase in substance abuse in adults. So we're seeing the effects of that in children as well. Also, loss and grief. About 140,000 kids or more have lost a parent or a secondary caregiver from COVID-19. Across the world, it's more than 1 million children who have lost parents. And that is a huge emotional impact. And, the loss of stability, loss of, everything that comes with that at such a young age will have devastating effects going forward. There's also the loss of milestones, like starting kindergarten or graduating from high school. The class of 2020 really didn't have a graduation. They came back after the fact in most schools, sometime in the fall, and had an impromptu ceremony. But those are huge things to miss out on. And, that has consequences. The children who are graduating from 8th grade this year, the last normal year they had was when they were in 5th grade. And that's going to have lasting impacts because they missed the entire middle school years. So that social, emotional development did not happen.
So what can parents actually do to help, other than you mentioned, we have to be right, we have to be well, we have to take care of ourselves. But what else can parents do, or even pediatricians?
So, if any concerns arise, like always have that conversation with your children. Just kind of keep an eye on how they're doing. Look for the signs that I talked about. If there's any concerns at any time, just stay in touch with your pediatrician. Especially, it's especially important for families who have children of color, who have who are living in poverty, special health care needs. Sometimes children with developmental differences have higher risk. We need to keep our eyes open. And as pediatricians, we are increasing our screening for depression and anxiety. We're offering appointments in person. We're offering them as a telehealth visit as well. So in case parents are scared to come out to an office, we can do it via video or audio by phone.
All really important things for our viewers to know this morning. Thank you so much. Now, if your child does need to be seen by a doctor at WellSpan, we do have information on how to make an appointment. It's on our website, fox43.com. Dr. Moopen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Of course.
And we will be right back with more Fox 43 Morning News right after this.